Welcome back to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. For Would You Rock or Not today, we're going to take a look at Michael Clifford's new signature Melody Maker. So let's go ahead and dive into the question that's being asked a lot. Who is Michael Clifford? He's a 23-year-old guitarist from Sydney, Australia in the band 5 Seconds of Summer. Seeing as the main demographic on my channel are men ages 18 to 64, I'm going to take a little bit more time on this so we can actually understand who this guy is. Because if you're anything like me, you've never heard of the band. But if you go on YouTube, 15 million, 176 million, 6 million subscribers, just millions of views. And yet somehow Gibson's video announcing this only got 17,000. But there's definitely lots of support from his fans here. Then there's tons of people asking who he is. So besides this guy looking similar to Jared Dines and his very popular band, I wanted to know a little bit more about this guy. Like, what are his influences? Like, is he a particularly fantastic guitarist? So I went and listened to a few songs, and their music, judging off of like 4 songs, it seems kind of popish, but yet there is still a guitar somewhere in that mix. But the story behind this guy is he started playing guitar the same way I did. Guitar Hero. But the difference between him and me is he got real guitar lessons at age 12. He wanted to quit right away, but his dad kept pushing him and saying, "You can do this." Reading through some of the comments, I guess he dropped out of high school in order to make music. So he was influenced heavily by classic rock music, but as he expanded his horizons, he got into like the punk scene, like Blink-182, Green Day stuff. And also, he's done pretty well for himself. 11 years of playing guitar, and he's already gained much success. So now let's look into the instrument. First off, this one's not released yet. I can only find stock photos. Sweetwater has a rough estimate of late June for these, and I was able to get out of them that it is just a one-time purchase for them. They're getting less than 50 units. So I'm guessing this might be limited to like maybe 1,000 or so. But the specs are kind of interesting on this thing. Swamp ash body with a maple neck and a Richlite fretboard. That's right, Richlite is still here. And I've got to say, it's fascinating that it's still here. Because coming in with the new 2019 lineup, the attitude seemed to be that Richlite was just gone because traditionalists weren't happy with it. And I was almost a little bit saddened by that. I've had lots of Richlite guitars, they're perfectly fine. And many traditionalists were also okay with it on like a lower end model. They just didn't want it in the custom shop. So this is beautiful. Maybe we will start seeing these dark ebony-like fretboards on these lower end models by them using Richlite. The maple neck was a huge surprise to me as well. But let's dive into the electronics here. It's just a single humbucker, which is a burst bucker number 3. But on top of that, you do have a coil split push-pull knob. I'm guessing it's on the master volume. And there's also a tone control that Michael didn't really want himself, but they thought, production run of guitars, most people might want it. But here's what's really interesting. This right here, it's not the output jack. That's actually a kill switch. That's the one thing he went to Gibson and said this instrument has to have. Personally, I prefer the button kill switches to the 3-way toggle switches, kind of like the BFGs. But hey, it's a cool feature. That means the output jack is on the side right here, which honestly is a really weird position for it. To be honest with you guys, this is the first time I've seen the location. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but it's got all blacked out hardware with a Tune-o-matic bridge and tailpiece. The only thing that bears Michael Clifford's name is the truss rod cover, so that's easy enough to swap out in case you don't like that. And the inlays on the fretboard are red X's, and you have a red Gibson logo adorned with Grover tuners. So the specs of this thing are kind of interesting. I really like the idea of swamp ash body. You don't see that too often from Gibson, but it's the maple neck that really intrigued me, and then knowing Richlite was coming back, it's just kind of this interesting conglomeration of things. But now let's talk about the influences for this model. First off, this is based off the 1965 Melody Maker shape. If you have never played one of these, do it. They look like freaky fish things, but there's something magical about this body shape. I have loved every single vintage example I've had. Next. You've probably been saying it the whole time. Whoa, is this a Joan Jett ripoff? Because that is the very first thing I thought of as well. Ripoff might be too strong of a word. It was heavily inspired by that. Michael's first Les Paul was a Les Paul Custom, But the dude is super humble if you watch any of his interviews. And he'll even tell you himself he's not the greatest guitarist in the world, so he looked up towards attainable goals, a star that he felt he could be similar to. For example, he doesn't want to be Slash. He doesn't think he's ever going to be a guitar god like that. But he thinks someone like Billy Joe. So when he saw the Joan Jett Melody Maker signature guitar, he fell in love with it, and he used it for many years. About a year or two ago, Gibson started working with him to create his signature guitar. So you can't really say that this is a new era Gibson. It's kind of something old that just happened to come out in 2019. But I think it's great for Gibson to branch out to a younger audience because, I mean, you guys saw the views his videos were getting. This is going to inspire a lot of young people to start wanting to play guitar. And who knows, maybe eventually buying a Gibson because Mr. Clifford's using one. Now, there were a few different Joan Jett Melody Makers. I would love to review these one day. But you can see they have a very similar setup, but the output jack is on the front. I think his was mainly influenced off of the white version, though. But there's one more influence in this instrument that nobody seems to be talking about in the promotional materials. So I'm curious if Michael Clifford even realizes that this is just a VooDoo Melody Maker. That's right, the Gibson VooDoo series. There's Les Pauls, there's SGs, there's Flying Vs, there's Explorers. They made them in the 2000s. They recently just did a new run. But these have pretty much the exact same specs. They've got the maple necks, they've got the swamp ash bodies, they've got the rich light fretboards, they have the black hardware. They even have the red Gibson logos. Though the body wood grain definitely looks closer to the original run of these. So if you dig the vibe of this Melody Maker, but you don't like signature guitars, or you don't want to pay $13.99 for one of these brand new, just go find yourself one of the VooDoo instruments and you've got a very similar thing going on, but with more tonal opportunities if you're opposed to not having that neck pickup. So now my thoughts on this instrument. I love it. I think it's cool. Now that I know more about this guy, it makes me want to purchase one even more. Because again, he doesn't seem like some stuck-up guy. He seems really down to earth. He just wanted something simple. It's his first signature guitar. I might actually get one of these for a full review and demo if I get a good response from this video. $13.99, yeah, it might seem a little bit expensive, but it's a signature model. They're re-releasing a body shape they don't normally do, but the big thing is it comes with a hard shell case. I'm interested to see if it will be slightly special or not, like the VooDoos. But there's just one more thing I want to talk about here, because I was curious, why these X's? Apparently he puts these on lots of his guitars. But I wanted a better definition. And I just so happened to see in one of his videos, he actually has an X tattoo on one of his fingers. And then I happened to stumble upon this, a video where they talk about their tattoos. So I'll let him tell you.
And the X I got done because Final Fantasy X is my favorite game.
That's right, the X inlays are also video game influenced. Final Fantasy X. I had to take a break and just get a good chuckle out of that. I love it. This is the Final Fantasy Melody Maker. And one more fun fact, the story behind the color being called Jet Black Cherry is it's actually a mix between two different songs from their second and third album, Jet Black Heart, as well as a song called Valentine that has the lyric Sweet Cherry Pie in it. So Jet Black Cherry. Put them together, there you go. At this point in time, there's not a lot of playing demos out there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit down every little clip I can find of him playing the instrument so you can hear it a little bit.
You wrote Iron Man?
Can you believe it?
Why is that not working? Why is that so out of tune?
The only question left? Just kidding. I just thought that part was funny. We all have tuning problems from time to time.
You know, which is like usually
The only question left, would you rock a Michael Clifford signature Melody Maker or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.